The latest CNBC All-America survey showing a shift toward Republican control of Congress amid some of the big issues facing the economy. Steve Leisman is here. He's been running down all of this, and that number is less than an hour and a half away, Steve.
Yeah, and it's a political number and an economic and market number, Becky. But amid growing worries on the economy and COVID, what we show is that President Biden's approval rating in both areas taking another hit, while Americans' preference for congressional control swinging sharply towards Republicans. Biden's approval rating in the CNBC All-America Economic Survey stabilizing at a very low level of 41%, about the same level as former President Trump. That compares to 50% who disapprove. But his approval rating on handling the coronavirus dropped to 46% to 48% disapproving. That measure is now underwater for the first time for the president. His economic approval rating sinking more deeply underwater, with 37% approving compared to 56% who disapprove. That is also worse than the last survey. The polling data for Democrats in Congress, even worse. Republicans now sport an historic 10-point advantage on congressional preference. 44% want Republicans to run Congress and 34% prefer Democrats. That's up from a 2-point Republican advantage in October. In the past 20 years, CNBC and NBC have never registered a double-digit GOP advantage on congressional preference. Democrats lost ground in critical areas that help put Biden in office. Residents in urban ring counties, those who favored Biden in 2020, now prefer Republican control of Congress. The Republican advantage in outer suburban counties doubled from the 2020 vote. You can see that they're on the right side of your screen. Now, our Republican and Democratic pollsters tell us with an off-year election usually leading to losses for the incumbent party, the question here is not whether Democrat losses will be bad in November. It's whether they will be historically bad. Becky?
Yeah, especially with such a tight split right now. What is it? 3 seats? It was 5 before, but there have been some changes in some of the races. So you're talking super tight. Super tight on both of these counts.
It's already very tight, and there's a historical trend towards the incumbent party losing. And now, I mean, when you dig into the details of this survey, it could not be better for the Republicans or worse for the Democrats.
Does it match up against anything you've seen before in this survey?
No. I mean, well, look, President Trump's numbers were bad, but they were sort of stable bad. It was like a, what do you want to call it? Like a law of physics. His number, the worst scandal would come out and his numbers didn't change. They were low. And his economic numbers were kind of constant. But this one is sort of a straight down. We'll see. I tried to look back at the greatest presidential turnaround, and I think it might have been President Clinton in the 90s, but that still led to losses in the ensuing November election.
That's what I was going to say. We do have some time before Election Day, and if you listen at least to conventional wisdom, some of the people who know, maybe we're hitting the peak of some of the issues when it comes to the supply chain, at least. I don't know about inflation at that point, but maybe things improve between now and next November.
There's an interesting debate among our pollsters. One of them thinks that what they need to do is get COVID under control, and then everything else follows from that, getting inflation under control. The other one thinks it's more about the economy and getting inflation under control first. I wonder, though, with the public having made up their mind about Biden, can they change it? He came in with this promise of getting COVID under control. I don't know that what's happened has been his fault, but certainly it's on his watch that we've had not really gotten that much better in terms of COVID and having another wave. We had the Delta wave, and now we've got perhaps this Omicron thing. So I don't know that people change their mind and say, oh, wait a second, maybe he was really good about COVID. Maybe he was really good about the economy. What is interesting to me, Becky, doing all this polling, the economy, the growth numbers are pretty good. The jobs numbers are pretty good. Mm-hmm. But inflation just is like I don't want you to call it, but a cold shower on all of that data. While inflation goes up, people are going to feel really lousy about the economy. So maybe that can be turned around if inflation is brought under control.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.